spinal strap and a yoga belt. You can use TheraBand or the belt from your bathrobe or anything like that if you don't have a yoga belt. You want to have a loop in your yoga belt that will bring your arms to shoulder width apart when you loop it around your wrists. And so here I've got the belt around my wrists, and when I take my arms out in front, they're more or less parallel to one another, and that's the starting point for the loop. And so to get ready for this exercise, make the loop in your belt and set it aside. Then take your spinal strap and make a hand fold with the spinal strap. So a hand fold is the length of your hand from your wrist to your fingertips, plus 1 or 2 inches. Look for your C7 vertebra, so sliding your fingertips down. You're looking for the vertebra that sticks out the most at the back of your neck. And you want to make sure that it's going to be supported by the double layer of your spinal strap. So to get ready, I'm going to place the spinal strap behind me and lay back. I'm going to come back up and move my belt so that I can reach it with my hands. So I'm going to lay back, get onto the spinal strap, making sure that the long edges of the spinal strap are matched up, and just checking that my C7 vertebra is firmly supported or well supported by the double thickness of the strap. Once I'm here, and I've had a few moments to settle onto the spinal strap, I'll find the yoga belt and loop it around my wrists again. So when I put the loop on there, just a little technical detail, I always put the tail end of the loop next to my wrist so that it doesn't slide over my face as I move my arms. So once I'm there, I'm going to turn my palms away from me, so my palms are facing my knees, and create just a little bit of tension in the yoga belt so that I can keep my elbows straight. As I inhale, I'm going to reach up and try to touch the ceiling, letting my shoulder blades glide away from each other. And as I settle back down, I let the shoulder blades settle either side of the spinal strap, feeling my arm bones drop into the shoulder joints. And you can do this as many times as you like to start mobilizing the shoulders. This is really nice for getting some movement in the rhomboid muscles that are between your shoulder blades, and also nice to get a better gliding action with your shoulder blades. So after doing this a few times, I'll let my arms drop in. And then the next part of this is I want to maintain tone through the pelvic floor and the lower fibers of the transversus abdominis, creating a mula bandha. Also want to see if I can move my ribs down. So I'm not actively contracting, but I want to feel like this part of my rib cage is settling towards the floor. And I want to maintain stillness there, so that when I take my arms towards the floor above my head, I do that through the shoulders rather than through the rib cage. So one more time, I'm going to inhale and reach up, exhale and drop in, keeping the back of my neck long and my rib cage steady. I'm going to slowly take my arms towards the floor above my head. So one of the things that's nice about using the belt around your wrists is that you can really notice if one arm likes to move faster than the other. You might also notice if there are any sticky places along the way. Sometimes there's even a clunking movement and feeling in the shoulder. And that's just information that you can use to understand what's going on in your shoulders. A lot of us have shoulder issues because of repeated actions that we do throughout each day. And some of us are athletes who, for example, may have some shoulder-related injury due to holding a golf club or a racket. Now, there's this little sweet spot that happens when the arms get pretty close to the floor, usually biceps by the ears. That's the little spot where if I went any farther, it would be because I have lifted my rib cage. And so this is where the intention of the rib cage staying still is super important. Because now I'm keeping the movement purely in my shoulders, and I'm not redirecting the movement into the ribs. And that way, this exercise actually does its job of shoulder mobilization. A lot of the times we aren't actually moving at the shoulder joint, we're accommodating limited movement in the shoulder joint by moving the rib cage. And come back up. Trying to bring both arms back to vertical at the same pace. Again, noticing the sensations that are present as I do that. Once my arms come back to the starting position, I'm going to reach up again. And exhale, let my arm bones drop into the shoulder joints, shoulder blades drop down to the floor. And then slowly take my arms into the overhead plane. Trying to go slowly enough that I'm aware of the sensations as they arrive. You can repeat this one several times. Normal range of motion is biceps by ears. So if your hands are touching the floor, just check that you haven't diverted the movement into your rib cage. Because at a certain point, the shoulders stop moving. The rib cage carries on to do the rest of it. For this exercise, we're trying to keep the ribs still so that the movement stays in the shoulders. After you've done that 2 or 3 times, you can release the spinal strip, or not the spinal strip, the yoga belt. And just rest your hands on your low ribs for a few moments, feeling the effects in your shoulders. And when you're ready to leave the pose, you can roll off to your side, slide the spinal strip out, and roll onto your back. Resting on your back for a few moments before you get up, just to feel into the effects in your upper back and your shoulders.